My Droogs, I'm David Daniel Ducker. This is Role-Playing 103. Today we're talking about the team, the ensemble. Uh, in 102, we talked about your character, the character that you will be responsible for and that you will be playing as. That's very, very important. But most games are not just a one-man show or a one-woman show. Most games have an ensemble. It's a bunch of people coming together to pursue the same goals, the same storylines. And that's what we're talking about today. Very important when you're doing character creation, session 0, talk about the team. Individuals are great, but you don't want to split the narrative up in a million different directions. You want uh, one narrative focus, acting singularly, thinking collectively. That's what you want, or vice versa. So come together with your group and say, what is our goal? What has brought all of these different characters together, and what is going to keep them together for the length of our campaign? And it could be a shared origin. Maybe they're all orphans from the same orphanage. Maybe they're members of an extended family, like a noble house, like Game of Thrones style. Maybe they're the bridge officers of a starship. They're all going to stick with the starship for the narrative. Maybe they're part of a gang, cyberpunk gangsters trying to conquer the mega city all together. They could be passengers on board a specific train or airplane, and something happens to that plane or train or other conveyance that forces them to work together. Now that could be very short term. It could be a one-night game. Your plane is sucked into the far realms, and you as a group have to figure out how to get home back to Earth. That could be a great one-shot. That could be a great campaign, in fact, but you just have to figure out how to stretch it out. So have this discussion among your group. You could be a school of wizards learning together about arcane lore, Hogwarts style. But it's very important that all these individuals will at least work together most of the time. You can have friction in the team. Friction is great in the team. Worf will get in an argument with Captain Picard or Riker, Commander Riker, and they will have friction. It will create drama and tension, great scenes where players can play off each other and the GM can sit back and watch and enjoy. Those are often wonderful scenes. And this can even escalate to some degree into a player versus player, PvP. I've had lots of fight scenes in my games between player characters, between PCs. But these don't have to be lethal. They could erupt into a fist fight, a wrestling match. It could be a cat fight. It could be two old men who start slapping and pulling each other's beards, and they collapse into a heap, and we have to pull Gandalf off of the blue wizard and get these guys to calm down a little bit. That can be a very entertaining scene. It can get a little comedy in there at times. But what we don't want is for the group to split. We don't want the narrative to break up. And there's several reasons for this. The main one in my mind is we'll have better role playing when we have more developed characters who are written or played by different authors all together. No NPC, no GM's character will be as developed as a PC, as a player character. So the role playing between the PCs and NPCs, in my mind, will always be a little bit below PCs and other PCs interacting with each other. To me, that is the best role playing. And also different authors. As I said, the GM will do his best to make every NPC different from one another. But he is, at the end of the day, or she is, just one person. Whereas if you have, Josh playing a cyberpunk gangster, he will come up with ideas the GM will never come up with because he's a different person. He has a different experience and perspective. So his character will be more unique than the GM's cast of characters. So that's reason number 2 that you want to stick together instead of splitting. And the third reason you want to stick together as a team is just participation and screen time. I don't want anybody showing up to a game and sitting around for the majority of it. I don't even want them sitting around with nothing to do for half session. I want them with something to do, to have fun, to engage for the entire session. I don't want to say, okay, well, Josh, his character, had to get split off over here, so sorry, Josh, you get to sit at the kids' table there. We're going to keep role playing on our scenes, but you're going to be excluded. I don't want that. I want inclusivity. And you can do a lot switching back and forth. Josh, okay, what's going on with your character? Okay, great. And now we'll come back. And Mike, what's your character doing? Great. Because, when I'm doing that with Mike, Josh is sitting there. When I'm doing it with Josh over here, Mike is sitting with nothing to do. It's not always the case, and you can get a lot out of that. And there can be entertainment value in being a spectator. The GM can even say, Josh, you're not in the scene. Will you play this goblin sneak thief for a couple minutes for me? You can have them co-GM a little bit. But I'm not talking about the exceptions to the rule. I'm just talking about general rules, very broad. What is the best answer, the best policy, the one that's hardest to mess up? That's what I want to do. Because enough things will go wrong in the course of play that I want to start us off with the strongest base and foundation. And the team concept can be the foundation of your whole campaign. Especially you start with that shared goal, something they all want to accomplish: save the kingdom, get rich, rescue the princess, slay the dragon, explore the Gamma Quadrant, overthrow the Galactic Empire, whatever it is. If they have that goal in common, it will just make everything tighter, more focused. It'll make each campaign different from the next campaign. Plus, it gives you a logical endpoint to the campaign. But that's a bit advanced. We're just talking here about the team. So I think I've explained pretty well why it's important to start with this team theme and build the team from the ground up, the skeleton of the campaign, the foundation. So in the comments below, let's get some discussion going about the team theme. What's your favorite team theme or team goal? Reasons for the party to stick together. Put that in the comments, and until I see you again, good day and good gaming.